Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching that earwax removal compilation video today. So you can see this first patient here, very dark wax and quite blocked up in both sides as well. Patient's been experiencing a little bit of tinnitus, a little bit of ringing in the ears with this wax as well, and some reduced hearing. Now what you can see is that wax itself, it's this very sort of deep brown, almost black color in places. So this is very old wax. So it's been in there a little while. You can see it's also very sticky here at the entrance. Now, when we've got sort of quite hardened up wax, sometimes when you pop some olive oil in, which is what we recommend our patients to do before they come and see us, it can soften the surface wax, so it can become a little bit stickier then. So what you can see we've got here is the standard size ulnar tube, very slowly working our way around this plug of wax. Now I've got a good grip here. We're just trying to draw this next section out. Now what you'll see is it's starting to dry, but now we're starting to get to this slightly more crumbly wax at the back. So this is the drier wax that's sitting behind that front section there. And you can see this is coming away in tiny little pieces, but it is coming away here. So we're having to reposition and try and just gently maneuver this out of the canal. Now, this particular patient was a little bit nervous having their wax removed, and a lot of patients are when they come through. A lot of patients have been used to what they call irrigation or syringing in the GP surgeries, but not many people may have had microsuction unless you've had it done at the hospital. So it is a bit of an unknown factor for a lot of these patients. You have to be really cautious and explain everything as you're going along and explain the different tools. So what you can see here, we've got the Jobson horn in now. Just a little bit easier to remove, and sometimes I will switch to using the Jobson horn. If we get somebody who is particularly nervous, then the microsuction can be quite noisy, and if somebody's a little bit nervous or jumpy, it can make them feel a little bit more nervous. So by using the Jobson horn, it's obviously very quiet because you're going to hear the wax moving around in the ear canal as you take this away. So we will do that sometimes and switch tools up a little bit to make it more comfortable for the patient. But you can see we've got this big old chunks of wax coming away now. It's really loosening. There you go. You can see the piece that we just took out. I was struggling to pick that up with the Jobson horn just a second ago. And what I can see now is we've got this very thin, soft layer here just at the base of the canal. We've just taken that away, and there's the eardrum there looking nice and healthy. So patient feeling much better. So this is the patient's other ear here, and you can see we've got a very similar story on this side. There is a little bit of a lift of dry skin as well just underneath, so it's just sort of wrapping around the base of this wax plug as well. Stay tuned for the second patient as well, guys. If you do like good wax plugs and they came away really cleanly, make sure you stay tuned for the second patient as well. And I will have a quick chat to you about episode 500 at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So we're just getting that little bit of skin's gone now. We're just working on the plug that was sitting behind it. Sometimes when you get these kind of lifts of skin, you've got the plug here and the skin's just kind of gone over the bottom, it can just hold it in place. So sometimes we have to remove that piece of skin before we can get to that next plug, which is what we've done here. So just slowly drawing this out. There we go. And you can see you can see the actual top of the ear canal now. So we've managed to get the majority of this plug out here. It's just this last piece that we just need to wiggle around. I've slowed this down a little bit. You can see these little bits coming away here. And then we'll go in and get this last section. Now this looks like it's going to lift quite cleanly. When it's this darker color, a lot of the time you'll get, as long as it doesn't crumble apart too much, you'll get quite big plugs. This one just crumbled a little bit as I lifted. I could see that back end of the wax there just break away from that front section. It's quite a narrow little ear canal as well, so not the easiest one to work in, and those cilia around the outside edge are quite prominent. So you can see they're actually quite long, and they've got a really important job. They stop any bigger bits of dirt and debris from getting inside the ear canal, but sometimes they can just obscure your view, especially if you're working closer to the outside part of the ear canal, because the endoscope has to sit behind the tool you're using, so it can sometimes sit just behind those cilia. But there we are. You can see that ear canal and eardrum looking absolutely perfect there. So we'll show you what I removed. Look at the color. You can see how dark this is. So we've got 4 centimeters, 1.5 inches. I'll do that quickly before the rulers move. And you can see it's very dark in color, so quite old wax. Difficult to put a time scale on it though. A lot of people ask when you talk about old, how old are you talking about? You can get wax that, even a year old sometimes that will look like this. So it's always a difficult one to put to pinpoint down. So we're going to cut to our second patient now. Right. Now this patient came through, it's a short and sweet one, but it's a good one. So what you'll see here is this patient, you can see it's completely blocked. There's no gap around that wax at all. It's quite deep seated. I would put a good bet this patient's used cotton buds at some point in there. But what's happened here now is when you try and get a grip, it's this solid block, this compacted wax, which is never easy to remove, especially when you've got this really flat surface. You'd think that would be better for you to get the suction grip, but when it's stuck all around the outside edge, the grip isn't strong enough to pull this out. So I'm lifting from the base of the canal here, so I'm just lifting up from the bottom. There we are, because sometimes if you lift that, you'll get a little bit of dry skin or slightly harder wax underneath that you can get a good grip on and slide and twist the wax out. It's not quite twisting, and I can see if I put pressure on the top here, it's just going to push it further in. So let's bring the crocodile forceps into play here. We'll get a good grip on this bottom section. We'll start to pull this forward. If we're in luck, then the whole thing will move. And we were lucky today. You can see we've managed to pull this plug down. Look at the skin material underneath there that's come away, and a little sort of tail of skin that's come away as well. So that plug came away really cleanly. It's always nice when they come away like that. There's a little bit of tidying up to do around the outside part of the ear canal, a little bit of hoovering up here. There we are. And there's the eardrum. And you can see a bit of an absence of light reflex. You've got a tiny bit there, but you can see this is more Q-tip use. You can see that dent right in the middle of it. Now this wax, whereas the other one was a hard solid block, this is a little bit softer. So it's still pretty solid, but it's just got a little bit of movement to it. So I'm trying to detach it from the canal wall. You never know how this kind of plug is going to go, because sometimes they can be so stuck to the canal wall. We did one today that was so stuck everywhere that it was a real kind of monster to try and remove. But sometimes if we're really lucky, we'll be able to get a little bit of a grip in this and use the solid center of the wax against it, which you'll see us do now in a second. So the first thing I'm doing is just try to loosen up the sides. I'm also looking for any softer sections there we can get a grip on, but nothing's really budging. So let's pop the Jobson horn over the top. Now it's not big enough a gap there to get through with the Jobson horn. So let's create a gap. Let's push down, push into the center harder section. There we are of the wax, and we use the whole thing against itself. And you'll see it all start to come away now. There we are, a little bit came off the top, but you'll see the whole thing will start to kind of slide forwards now. There we go. And there's a little bit of dry skin under that one as well. I think this one actually, I think I dropped this one on the patient. Yeah, I did. There you go. I tried to go to the ear and it fell to the patient's front. We had to pick it up. But there's a little bit of dry skin. You can see that's been holding this in. So let's use the fine end, the smaller of the suction tubes, because we don't want to risk any clarinetting in here. So we're just going to pop the very, very thin fine end on. Just tidy this little bit of skin up. There we go. And we'll take a look behind that. There's the eardrum looking good there. Slight absence of the light reflex on that one. We were a little bit dull. So these are the two plugs we removed. So we've got two centimeters, I would say there. I think if we squidge the skin up a little bit, that's probably about an inch thereabouts. So you can see that long tail of skin that came away from the back end there as well. Right. Episode 500 is coming out on, it's actually a bank holiday here in the UK. So you lucky people are going to get it on a bank holiday Monday. What can I tell you about episode 500? What is Mrs. B allowing me to say? Okay, you're only going to be, what you're going to see is something that we've never done on the channel before. So it's a bit of a different one. And it's so hard for me not to tell you what's going on. But that's all I'm going to say. It's a good one though. And no, I can't say anything else. Okay, stay tuned on Monday, 9 p.m. That episode 500 is going to come out. We'll probably do it as a premiere, so I'll be there on the chat along with Mrs. B to answer any of your questions on the chat as well. So we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys. Look after yourselves, look after one another, and look after your ears. And yeah, see you for episode 500. Bye, everyone.